Morning. I thought I'd just go through the first couple of questions from the task today. I know White Rose have got their own video. Sometimes it's just good to hear it in a slightly different way. So I did say these questions will need a bar model. They are possible to solve without a bar model, but bar modelling is far the easiest way to work these out. First I'm going to read the question. So a car park is full. 1/3 of the cars leave. 60% of the remaining cars are red. There are 174 red cars. How many cars left the car park? So I'm just going to pause it to just draw my bar model. Okay, so I've just quickly drawn a bar. It told me that 1/3 of the cars leave. So my denominator is 3, so 3 parts in the whole. So I drew 3 boxes, and this one here is leave. So 1/3 of the cars leave, which means I have 2/3 remaining. Okay. It says 60% of the remaining cars are red. Now 60% we can either think of as a fraction or a percentage or a decimal, but not in this question. So 60% is equal to 6 over 10. I'm going to have to do my fraction like that. Or 3 over 5. Okay, doesn't look good like that. So 6 over 10 or 3 over 5. Okay, for this I just divided both the numerator and the denominator by 2 to simplify my fraction. So it gives me 3/5. So 60% is the same as 3/5. Now 60% of the remaining cars, which is these 2/3 here, are red. So now I need to split these 2 bars into fifths. So let me try to do that. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3/5 were red. So let's use this. There's a highlighter maybe in red. 3/5 of the cars are red. Okay, so 60% of the remaining cars are red. There are 174 red cars. This section is worth 174. Okay, so there are 174 red cars. Now this 174 has 3 parts because it's 3/5. So if I divide 174, don't want the highlighter, pen. Divide 174 by 3. How many 3's go into 1? 0. How many 3's go into 17? 5. 5 times 3 is 15. Remainder 2. How many 3's in 24 is 8? 8. Okay, so each one of these here is worth 58. It also means that these two here are worth 58 because we changed our numerator here to 5, so there are 5 parts in the whole. We know what 3 parts are worth. Because we know what 1 part is worth, we also know what colour, well, how many cars weren't red. Okay, so let's just read the question again. I always find it better to go to the question because you end up working out lots of different bits and you forget what you're actually supposed to be doing. So a car park is full. 1/3 of the cars leave. 60% of the remaining cars are red. That was our 60%. There are 174 cars, red cars, okay, which we had here, and we split that up. And it says how many cars are left in the car park. Well, how many cars are left? We need to add the other 2 remaining fifths. Okay, so 58 needs to be multiplied by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you can either do it that way or know that 10 times 58 is 580. Divide your 500 by 2, that's 250. Divide your 80 by 2, that's 40. So you've got 250, add 40 is 290. Let me double check there. So 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 5 is 25. Add the 4. So that's 290. So this section, I don't know if, this section here is worth 290. But the question was just asking us how many cars were left in the car park besides the red cars. No, it's not. It's asking how many cars left the car park. Sorry. So how many did leave? If we know that this section here is worth 290, we can split that in 2. Because we've got these 2 parts here, we know that that's worth 2/3, and we need to find our remaining third. So 290 divided by 2, 90 divided by 2 is 45, 200 divided by 2 is 100, so it's 145. 145. Okay, which also means that leave must equal 145. Okay, so how many cars left the car park? 145. Let me just go over what we've done again. So we started off knowing that 1/3 of the cars left. So we drew our bar model which had 3 parts. One of them have gone. It told me 60% of the remaining cars are red, which we converted to 6/10 and then 3/5. So this became our part of the bar model here. We knew that 3/5 were red, which equated to 174 red cars. So each part here must be worth 58, which meant these 2 were also worth 58. And then we had 290 overall, which we could split down into our thirds for 145, 145, 145. So we know that 145 left. Okay, Mo has some red and green sweets. He eats 1/3 of the sweets. 3/4 of the sweets are left over are green. So we've only got red or green. Mo buys himself 30 more green sweets. There are now 162 green sweets. How many sweets did Mo start off with? Okay. So Mo eats a third. I'm going to be too small. Oh no. So this is why I normally pause. Let's move it over a bit. No, I'm going to have to do them again. Okay, managed it. So he eats 1/3 of the sweets. So I'm going to say that he's eaten this one. I'm going to colour it in black because he's eaten them. Okay, so he eats 1/3 of the sweets. 3/4 of the sweets left over are green. Okay, so there you go. I cheekily paused it again. So 3/4 are green. And then Mo buys himself 30 more green sweets. So he's got these green sweets. Ooh. So he's got these 3 sweets, and he's also got 30 more. Okay, so he had 3/4 of sweets left over were green. He bought himself 30 more green sweets. And now there are 162 sweets. Okay, so all this now is equal to 162. If I take off 30 from this 162, it's going to leave me with these green sweets here. Okay, so actually, I thought that would be easier. Nope. This bit is 132. Okay, because the whole bit was 162. If I get rid of the 30, I'm left with this bit here, which is now 132. If I divide my 132 by 3, I will get what these are worth. So how many 3's into 1 go? I think how many 3's in 13? Well, 4 times 3 is 12, so it's 4. Remainder 1. And then how many 3's in 12 is 4, so it's 44. So each one of these here is worth 44. Okay, which also means that's worth 44. That's worth 44. That's worth 44. That's worth 44. Okay, which means this bit here is worth 88. That's worth 88. And that also has to be worth 88. So we're going to do 3. It then says how many sweets did Mo start off with? So we're going to do 88 times by 3. So 3 times 8, you've got 8, 16, 24. 3 times 8 again is 24, but now you need to add the 2, so you've got 26. So how many sweets did Mo start off with? Well, the whole bar up here is worth 264. And that is your final answer. These type of questions are really tricky. You have to go step by step. And I do think using the bar, I would find these questions impossible if I didn't go step by step using a bar. So I've got some sort of visual representation of what's actually going on. Think of it like a story. What's the story of Mo's sweets? Okay, Mo had some red and green sweets. I know that's the start of my story. He eats 1/3 of the sweets, so they need to go. 3/4 of the sweets that are left, so these 2/3, are green. Okay, so then we had to split that into quarters. 3 of them were green. He then bought 30 more green sweets, so then he had 162 green sweets. So if I subtract that 30, I get left with 132, and I know that is worth 3/4 of what he's got left. So if I divide that by 3, I can find out what 1/4 is. So 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. And 2 of these are actually worth 1 of my thirds. So I can time my thirds by 3, my 88 by 3 to get 264. Hope this has helped. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Miss you.